sounds kind of sandy to me. Like what it sounds like when you walk in the sand and your feet push the grains. That's what it reminds me of. That may have been a weird comparison to make, but that's where my mind went. I don't know. For those of you who are curious, the stains on this cloth are leather dye stains. I just wanted to clarify because it kind of looks like I wiped my ass with this, so they're not doo-doo stains. It's just leather dye. You know, ever since I've gotten this dual microphone set up, I am constantly reminded of this very old classic trigger, if you will, that Heather Feather used to do, but then softly Galoshes kind of took up the mantle. It's incredibly simple. All she does is go right was fairly light polluted, so there wasn't even that many, if any, stars in the sky to look at. But I don't know, it was very, very, very peaceful. Just being able to breathe fresh air as I was drifting set up in a very, very long time. I can still hear it. But back then, a lot of the ASMR channels, hers included, weren't as refined, I suppose. No, that's not the proper word. They just didn't have as much production value. Everything was much simpler. That's not to say that the quality was lower, because it absolutely was not. But it was just a different atmosphere back then. We now call it lo-fi ASMR. But back then that was just ASMR. And I don't know, those old videos in that style were just fantastic. They just had a very special feel to them, and it was just, I have a lot of good memories with that style of video. I remember there was another ASM artist that I would watch all the time. Specifically, while I would grind for different equipment in Warframe, back when I was playing that, again, a very long, long time ago. And his name is Fred's Voice. I would watch his stuff all the time. He had so many good roleplay videos, and it was a lot different than what I was used to, because before I had came across his channel, I had only ever seen lady ASMR creators. And then one day in my feed, there was a very dapper gentleman, and it said ASMR on it, and I was like, what? Guys do this too? Yeah, it was amazing. He has such great videos. He still uploads to this day, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, just very good quality stuff. And his stuff was more higher production, you know. Softly Galoshes had, at the time, more of that lo-fi feeling, whereas Fred's Voice had a much higher produced set of videos. It was like kind of being on a TV set, you know. Yeah, it was kind of cool to see just the vast differences, and it gave me options as well. Did I want something that was more kind of relaxed